Alright y'all, welcome to another video, and in this video, I want to talk about Shedeur Sanders, the snub star with a shot at redemption. Alright, so for part one, let's talk about the draft snub, why it was controversial. So, everybody knows Shedeur's college resume and pedigree from Jackson State, then on to Colorado, and in his 23 season, he put up 3,200 yards and 27 touchdowns. He was showing poise, accuracy, and decision-making while being under a weak offensive line. But he still was coming with that pressure, even though he was under pressure. Everybody knows he had to deal with being Deion's son and the whole coach's son narrative, but he still tried his best to show out. So it got a little weird when it came around for draft time and his critics was having that type of Power 5 bias, saying that, oh, he played at an HBCU and then Colorado, so it wasn't really that impressive. Some scouts was questioning if his numbers were like system inflated because he was playing in the Pac-12. And despite his strong tape, some analysts was ranking him below QBs with far less production. It was crazy. So many conversations about how Shedeur's confidence was seen as cocky, while others called it swagger. His whole heavy NIL presence and the watches and the cars and the social media, it was rubbing so many traditionalists the wrong way. His public image that Deion had with his confidence just as a man, a black man at that, it was like they was trying to make Shedeur like guilty by association, like he wasn't his own man. And then when it came to like the media as well, you know, Shannon Sharp, Bomani Jones was saying stuff like it was a disrespectful overlook, you know? And then it was so weird because it's like fans was trying to point out that the inconsistency of how Shedeur was compared to other QBs with losing programs, like how Caleb Williams still went high despite USC's struggles. It was just weird. Even the word snub was trending on social media so much because of how far Shedeur dropped in the first round and second round and third round and fourth round. And he wasn't even drafted to the damn fifth round. Like, are you kidding me? Seriously? Well, he was drafted by the Browns. Let's go ahead and take it into part two so I can calm down. What I like to call training camp, you know, a real shot at the starting job. So he was invited to the Browns camp, and what he didn't do was let that snub defy him. Shedeur came out guns a-blazing. I'm talking about he had a chip on his shoulder and had all the motivation, and he had an immediate impact at camp. Reports was coming from the camp saying that he was mature beyond his years. He had strong footwork, smart reads, and most importantly, he didn't turn the ball over. Even his teammates, veterans, was praising his leadership, and players were just gravitating toward him naturally. It looked like he was setting himself apart from the other Browns QBs because they already had weakness on the depth chart. And so it seemed like the starting QB job wasn't locked in, and some coaches were saying it's the best player that wins. You know, the offensive coordinator was saying, yo, Shedeur has a great football IQ and work ethic. Certain veterans were saying he looks like a starter. It was just so much momentum building because he just wasn't a name. He was building his name. His mentality that he was having in interviews was, man, I'm built for this. I've always had to prove people wrong. He wasn't letting the media distractions affect him. He was focused on football, blocking out the noise, and just having overall a pro mindset. And the one thing that it looks like is that this could turn out to be one of the most compelling stories in football. From snub draftee to QB1, come on, man. It shows that college production and leadership way outweigh hype and politics. And it would just truly validate Deion's vision for Shedeur and future QBs who come from non-traditional programs or stories. And with that, I'm going to let my man Rev take it.
At a time when Shedeur, Coach Prime, and his family should be excited about the opportunity of being a potential starting quarterback, or at least competing for the starting quarterback position in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns. It seems like for the last 3 days after the rookies reported to training camp that most of the talk and the rumors have been circulating about, is Shedeur even going to make the roster, and is he going to be given a fair opportunity to make the roster? This is disturbing on so many levels, because when you look at it, you see a guy that's been productive in college at Jackson State University, the Jackson State University, break all kind of records there. A guy that was productive at Colorado, helping to resurrect a team and a program that the year prior to him coming only won one game, and taking them from a 4-8 season to the next year a 9-7 season and a bowl game appearance, to being touted as a high draft pick, as the number one quarterback at times throughout the season, to all of a sudden all of these strange draft evaluations and reports of arrogance and reports of being unprepared at the combine, to completely falling out of the first round, out of the first 3 rounds in the draft, to fall into the Cleveland Browns in the 5th round. A Cleveland Browns team that a day prior took Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. It's been an emotional roller coaster, really trying to sit here and gauge everything that has happened to Shedeur Sanders in these past 7 months. But OTAs and rookie minicamp, it gave us hope that Shedeur was potentially going to receive a fair shake when it came to competing for this job. Mind you, I've been one of the ones that have always been weary, because I understand how the business of sports works and the business of the NFL works. When you're dealing with 2 rookies, the guy that's drafted earlier, if they play the same position, is always going to get an opportunity or more opportunities than the guy drafted behind him. It doesn't matter if the front office made a mistake. It doesn't matter if the GM made a mistake, the scouts made a mistake. It doesn't matter if the coaches made a mistake. It doesn't matter if the guy that was drafted after is actually better than the guy that was drafted ahead of him. This is just the reality of the situation. So when I saw Shedeur was taken behind Dylan Gabriel, to me the writing was on the wall. But what really solidified my fears for how Shedeur would be potentially treated in this situation was several NFL analysts on ESPN and NFL Network kept saying the phrase, if Shedeur gets a fair opportunity. If Shedeur gets a fair opportunity. And what I could never wrap my mind around was, how is a team that is traditionally as terrible as the Cleveland Browns in any position to tell someone like Shedeur, or any quarterback for that matter that has been drafted and wants a fair chance to compete, how are you in any position for it to be a question whether or not a prospect on the level of a Shedeur Sanders is going to get a fair shake? What franchise quarterback do you have on the roster right now that is leaps and bounds ahead of Shedeur Sanders, where him getting an opportunity seems like something that may be foreign? How do you turn around saying things like this and then sell your fan base on building a winning culture? And that's why I led off with Shedeur in this moment and his family in this moment. Instead of them having the opportunity to be like every other rookie that was once touted as a high draft pick, focusing on the great accomplishment and getting to work and going to work and learning the playbook and being on the field week one and giving your team the best opportunity to succeed, instead of focusing on that, they got to come in focusing on, is there some grand conspiracy against us? Is Shedeur even going to get a fair opportunity? It's beyond me, bro. It's baffling to see what's going on. If you look at the numbers during rookie minicamp, you look at the numbers during OTAs, and I'm not one of those numbers guys, but when the actual publications and media that is credentialed to cover the Browns is posting these numbers, it's hard for people that know football and fans of football to completely ignore what they're seeing on these videos and what they're seeing when the numbers are released. It's hard for us to ignore that. How do you justify us being day one of training camp and there being confusion on whether or not there is some kind of conspiracy against Shedeur Sanders that's going to keep him off the field? We should be heading into this situation excited and hoping for the best man to win. We should be hoping for the best man to win the job so that finally the Cleveland Browns can be on their way to building a winner. In football, there's nothing more important than the quarterback position. Hey, some people say in all of sports, the quarterback is the most important piece, is the most integral piece to building a team, is the trenches and a franchise quarterback. It's not like they grow on trees. Look at what the Cleveland Browns have been through recently with Deshaun Watson. Gave him $250 million guaranteed. And as soon as they gave him that money, an unfortunate scandal came out about him. Not only did the scandal come out about him, he's been mauled with injury, and he's recently dealing with an Achilles rupture. And not to mention, before the Achilles rupture even happened, it wasn't like Deshaun Watson, the $250 million quarterback, was blowing the roof off. So now you have a chance to reset your franchise with a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal. And instead of maximizing that, instead of maximizing a guy that you drafted in the later rounds that you're going to have for 4 years before you have to re-him up, instead of maximizing that, now we're marred in controversy. Now we're marred in fans being suspicious of the Cleveland Browns and what they're doing. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. But you know what? As damning as these reports are that you see on the screen and the rumors that you see floating around, and the Canadian Football League having bidding wars for Shedeur services, like someone in the Canadian Football League knows something that may be about to happen, and as damning as it is for lifelong Cleveland fans to be making comments like the one you see alluding to Shedeur not getting a fair shot and how disenfranchised they're becoming with their own team, I'm going to focus on perfect timing. And perfect timing is God's timing. I believe Cleveland is where Shedeur should be. Ever since he got drafted there, he's been an integral part of the community. He's been going out and speaking to children. He's been donating money to people that are dealing with disasters in the area. He's been a vocal leader to his teammates and to elementary school kids all around Cleveland, telling them that in order to be a great athlete, you have to be a great student. In order to be a great leader, you got to be a great follower. In order to be great at what you do, you have to be obsessed with what you do. The days leading up to training camp today, we've seen footage after footage of Shedeur Sanders working out at local high schools, working out anywhere he could to perfect his craft. This is a guy that was described to us as a prima donna, as a guy that wasn't serious about the game, a Nepo baby that only made it because his father's name was Deion Sanders. But every time we see this kid, he proves the detractors and the naysayers wrong. Like I said, from the moment he arrived in Cleveland, it's been work and it's been positive leadership. Sure, he had a setback, if you call it that, speeding. But you tell me one person that has ever lived and driven a car that hasn't speeded before, that has never gotten a ticket. But this is what they do to gaslight you into thinking that Shedeur Sanders is not good enough, or he doesn't have the character to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Today marks the most important day in Cleveland Browns modern day history. This is the most important day for the Cleveland Browns since they moved back to Cleveland. They have a chance, with their cap already damaged with Myles Garrett and Deshaun Watson, the money that's going to come off the book for those guys. They have a chance to do something that is an outlier in the NFL, which is take a guy who was drafted in the 5th round and give him an actual opportunity in training camp to play over guys that are drafted ahead of him and veterans that they brought in. They have a chance to inject hope into this franchise, hope into this city that is desperate for a winner, hope into a city that is desperate for the Cleveland Browns to once again be relevant in the AFC North. They have to give Shedeur a fair opportunity, and it's up to the YouTube viewers and the fans to demand that. If these reports are true, this is a devastating day for the Cleveland Browns. Let's hope that Shedeur gets a fair shot. Make sure y'all run the likes up, share the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. My light went off, but I'm still working.